Hey everybody, it's your co-host Josh. Just want to let you know that this one does have some audio problems. We did our best to fix them. We know it's not our best, but we will continue to push out our product to the best that we can for you guys, the listeners. Welcome to the second half of our big 2 hour, close to 3 hour special. Broke down and reviewed Fast X, and now we're ranking the Fast franchise. Welcome back to another episode of the Film Bros Podcast.
Making our way to the bigger section of this episode is where does Fast X fit with the rest, right? Now, we did talk about, Fast X was a step up from some movies, but in some cases it was a step down. So this is going to be the portion where we're going to rank where Fast X sits with the rest of the movies. We're going to be ranking all of them, all 10.
Yeah.
Excluding Hobbs and Shaw, because who is they?
Yeah.
We don't know who they are. We will all go around, okay? We're going to start with number 10, okay? We're going to go from 10 to 1. Your worst to your favorite. We'll start with Ray. Not the whole list. We'll go 10, 10, 10, and then 9, 9, and, in between for if you have...
we hit 5, that will be the little, intermission to be like, what the fuck, you put this one there? You know what I mean?
You can speak in between if you want to, but, let's...
We usually hold off to intermission.
But if
you feel very inclined.
I'm willing to argue these movies till my dying breath. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Raymond, please let us know, what is your worst pest movie?
For me, number 4.
Number 4.
Dude, last? Well, I fucking hate you right now. I was looking at all that.
I know. Okay. Why is number 4 on last year?
If I remember correctly, it's the one where pretty much Dom wasn't on one mission, Brian was on his own mission. Dom was. Wait, am I thinking about the right one?
4 is when they reintroduced Dom and Brian. Brian's the FBI agent. Dom is looking for Letty because he finds out that she wound up dying. They wound up racing to try to be part of the cartel.
Yeah. See that's what
they're on different missions, but they're heading toward the same goal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like that.
No.
He doesn't believe in coincidences.
No.
It's not even a coincidence. They perfectly saying it.
Well, you get a little defensive there. Let him explain.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I just like that. It's like a reset. Like, all right, remember the other movies? This we're gonna do it again, but from here on. And then apparently they found out Letty dies, and they have a funeral. But it messes up the plot for the other movie where she comes back because they have a funeral for her, but they don't have a body, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But how did they know she died? Or like I don't know.
He's pulling out a pothole.
Yeah, I
get it. I get what he's saying.
What do you think they did? They clearly found a body because they buried something.
Yeah. See, but okay. But in the other movie where she comes back, apparently she walked away. But
she was able to crawl her way out.
She was able to crawl her way out.
No, man, I don't know. I get what he's saying.
No, it blew up and she fell down. Picked up.
Okay. Well, either way, that's how he feels about that one. Same way.
Okay, what? yeah.
But,
no. Okay. All right.
Was it?
Well, is that the only?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you at least give some positive reasons? What do you have any positives for the film? Positives for the film.
Positives for the film? I kind of like that. Brian went back to his that he was able to go back being part of the CIA. He was still had that connection with Dom's family, but like I guess he was finding out himself like I like being for the law, but like I low key also like being against it. Having illegal races, helping out this guy run away from the police. I did like that.
Okay,
that's fair. I can give you that. Okay, Josh, what's your number 10? Go ahead.
My number 10 is F9.
Fair.
This one just disconnected me from the whole thing. I've said my piece on this before in other episodes. Like, this one just feels the most disjointed for me. Like you said before, like they were just looking to up the ante, so they did that. And I didn't even enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it because Like I enjoyed 8 and 10, but this one I just had real trouble like grasping the entertainment part of it. You know what I mean? Like it was too unrealistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for a fast movie that's a bit harsh. You know,
Yeah.
it's all unrealistic. But no, this felt way unrealistic. Like at least I can wrap my head around some things, but this one just kind of blew it all out the water. I didn't really like John Cena as a villain. You know what I mean? Or the whole long lost brother plotline. To me, that was kind of like, well, where the fuck? That if he had a brother, they would have sprinkled him out through the movies.
Yeah, and like I was saying, I feel like F9 kind of like creates a big plot hole for the first Fast.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I've said this also, but I hate how they got real meta with this one. I hated Roman Pierce in this one, and I'm supposed to hate him. He's a comedic relief. You know what I mean? Like him going, "Oh man, we can't die." Like this is. Like, I've been through a whole lot of shit, and then he gets a car trampled on him, and he gets to this big explosion, and you're like, he lived, and he came out unscathed, and, he's usually the one that's kind of always in danger, and, it's like, at that point, you ruin the stakes for me because there's nothing on the line. This is just a bad guy that's going to come join your family at the end of it. I don't really have any positives for this movie, I guess, other than some action sequences, but like, I couldn't even tell you because I literally blocked this movie out like half the fucking time.
So this is the bastard child in the franchise.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Okay. Any positives?
No.
Anything that came out that was good for this?
A few action sequences, like I saw the clip that you were talking about where he hits the car and he saves Lenny or whatever with it.
Yeah. No, John Cena.
John Cena. Yeah, I saw that one. That one was kind of cool. Like that. Like, I remember that. But other than that, like, nah. That's about it. Just a few action pieces where I was like, that was fucking sick. But nah.
Okay. Fair enough. So my number 10, okay, is The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
That is dead last, okay? This movie, unoriginal. Okay. Yeah, they added drifting. Fine. Okay. Honestly, I think besides maybe the first race and maybe the first race in the beginning with the white dude and the girl, whatever, I think that was the most entertaining part of the movie. And then you get the little scene where he doesn't know how to race, and that's pretty entertaining too. But then the rest of them, I mean, it's pretty generic. You know what's going to happen by the end of the movie. Him owing the Yakuza and stuff like that was kind of, it wasn't really. He wasn't even a part of that. That was Han's thing. He was just kind of floating throughout the movie while everything else was happening. He was just kind of along for the ride for everything, if that makes sense. And the acting was kind of abysmal in that movie. That shit was kind of bad. I really I think that this one's the weakest one, and I think this is the one where like not even entertainment saved it, because I literally can just look at my phone the whole time and know exactly what's happening. It just doesn't really fit. Bow Wow does his best. I can give him that. Lucas Black too. He does do his best as well. But they should have gotten a little bit more seasoned actors for that one, I think.
I guess I'm gonna compose myself and wait. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You agree? Disagree? What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, it's definitely not my top ones.
Yeah. I something good that did come out of it though was, I think Justin Lin really came with his like own with this one, where like he figured out the certain camera angles and how to like up the ante when it comes to cars is what they can do, at least realistically wise, and it really shows in later movies 4, 5, 6, 7, where where the birthplace where he got all that idea from, and that's literally Tokyo Drift. So I can't say that's a positive for the movie, and it really turned out for the best for the rest of the movies, regardless of what the Rotten Tomatoes score say or whatever other people say. But I think that movie really showed what the franchise could be, and they upped that.
Okay.
So
That's fair.
Yeah. So, but moving on, if nobody has anything to say right now,
No, not right now.
okay, go ahead. What's your number 9?
Number 9.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay.
That's 9. Yeah, everything just seems sci-fi. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Like this guy who was DK Drift King is now a rocket scientist. The other kid that used to sell sneakers knockout sneakers at the high school also joined in. I don't know, them getting just a regular car and shooting up into outer space, and they're perfectly fine with homemade suits. It's just that for me was pretty much from 6, 7, 8, 9 is just sci-fi, and built more extra sci-fi on number 9.
Keep doing 6 and 7. I'm upset.
You know what theirs looks like.
Okay. Any positives for F1?
Positives. Action scenes. Even though Dom did turn into like a ninja in one part where he's chasing Cena, just running around along rooftops, and it just randomly tackles him there.
Yeah, he was on the ground driving his car 1 second, and then the next second he's on the roof already.
Yeah, he's a ninja. I'm telling you, he has superpowers.
He teleported.
Hey, Josh, anything to say about that?
No, because we're kind of in the same boat. The only difference is placement.
Okay.
The action in this one kind of carried it, which is really, like I said, it's a harsh criticism for these movies, but there should also be substance.
Yeah.
And I feel like as we go through, you'll see my list kind of revolves that where missing substance.
Okay. So number 9 for you.
Number 9, Fate of the Furious, F8.
Okay.
Same thing as 9, just less. I enjoyed this one obviously a little better than 9, but it was also very outlandish, like, and not in a good way. Like seeing The Rock grip a missile and launch it, like that was. I'm just like, dog. This is like too much going on. I enjoyed the plot. This one a little bit better. I like the idea of Dom going up against his family, which is really nice. Really gave some really nice moments, but also again lacked that substance and heart that I'm kind of looking for in these movies, which is a harsh thing to want, but I need that, and I think the other ones have them. Positives, like I think I already mentioned it, like the plot was kind of interesting to me, like very, very cool stuff from that aspect. And then, a lot of the action scenes in this one, if I can say.
Yeah, I would say F8 was actually really well done with action scenes. I think, like I said, maybe besides the whole beginning, the race in the beginning, I would say I really enjoy that, but I think the rest of the movie is pretty.
So, it's fucking car cut off.
Yeah, it's the key and all that stuff. Yeah, but other than that, I really don't have any point of contention. What about you? F8, you think he placed it right, number 9?
Yeah.
No back talk to nobody.
No.
As long as we can agree. My number 9, I'm on the same boat with you. It is Fast 9. This is the one where, like I said, it feels really disconnected, and they really forced this movie to have a reason to be alive. I did think that entertainment value with it was pretty good when it came to action scenes and spectacle and stuff like that. The beginning really takes you out of it, because in the beginning it's like Dom's like, no, and they go and do this, and it just takes one picture to make it be like, actually, I think I might be along for this ride, and then he does his espionage stuff. He finds out his brother. I personally don't like it because I think it really does hurt the first Fast and Furious. I think that if he was gonna have a brother, they should have, like you said, sprinkled it out, at least in the first one, at least hint at it or mention it. That shit doesn't travel through all the rest of the movies. At least you can refer back, like, hey, the first one.
Yeah.
But how can you have a brother and not mention him throughout all these,
Exactly.
And especially because, like, at one point, Owen and his brother, the other Shaw brother, they were there. You would have thought that's where my brother should probably come in at that point. You know what I mean? But it just seemed like they just tried to fit it in there. And I will say, entertainment-wise, fighting-wise, all that stuff-wise, I think there was a lot of, that might as well happen type shit. But at the same time, it was entertainment, and you can sit there, put it on, and just be happy that there's cars exploding in front of you.
That's as reasonable as it can get, honestly, because it, like, throughout all the movies, they literally make it seem like it's just him and Mia, you know what I mean? Like them two versus the world. But we know that's not the case. Apparently now he has a long lost brother that he told to fuck off, and then he did. Yeah.
Actually fucked up.
Yeah. So, like, perfectly. I won't even have.
What was the scene where, like, Dom just got super strength out of nowhere because he was, like, getting his ass beat by a whole bunch of, like, goons? Like, he was just getting jumped while Cena was climbing the ladder, and he was just like, He's just like,
Oh, smash.
the whole bridge collapsed and he falls into the water and everything. And I'm just like, dude, like, calm down. It's not like, you wouldn't have gotten it. But, Vin Diesel's contracts is crazy. But yeah, nobody has any arguments against that one, right? Okay, perfect. I'm so mad at that. So, I'm still wrong with that. All right, what is your number 8?
Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift.
What the fuck? He has a place that's so damn low.
All right.
I mean, Tokyo Drift is well, I'm gonna start off with the positive. Is that where I did learn about drifting and what it is, and the slight cameo of Keiichi Tsuchiya, the creator of drifting. He is actually the real life drift king. But the beginning was good, and then after he started, they try to make like a love connection between
The girl with the strong chin.
yeah, her and the guy with the five head.
Yeah.
I got lost right there. I didn't like it after that. It was everything was cheesy. When they went along together on the drive, like, oh, I love going for a drive because it's just you in the car and like,
Yeah. I could see that.
yeah,
I could see
that. And after that, like you said, everything was predictable. You know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think I told Josh the other day too. I was like, this is basically the first Fast and Furious movie, but just in Tokyo. They did a couple of tweaks here and there, but they just basically did the same thing. Now, I mean, it is what it is. But you have anything to rebuttal with this one?
I'm saving it.
You say it?
All right. I just let it stir. so when it comes down to me having my argument, it's structured.
Okay, all right. What's your number 8?
Moving forward, you probably gonna hate me for this one, but Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Out of all the earlier movies, I feel like this was just the weakest one. Like I don't really vibe with this. I feel like it was trying to be what the first one was, but it just failed because it didn't have, Vin Diesel, and they were trying to replace him with Roman, But I don't really vibe with Roman. Even to now, like I understand his comedic relief, but I didn't find him that funny in his introduction. So how am I gonna? I'm barely gonna. If I didn't really like him in his introduction, half of his jokes are gonna stick throughout. Especially if it's the same shtick of him being dumb, and he likes the richer things in life. Oh, I think you're gonna show up with chrome wheels, and then he's like, aha, dick. You know what I mean? Like, if his comedy isn't for me, I don't really find him funny. Plot wise, we just watched it, so I'm just like, now I'm remembering because I really don't like about it. Like, plot wise, it was kind of just eddery. The scenery, not very cool action scenes, in my opinion. Had cool racing scenes, but like no real good action. A lot of it was just very bland to me. But I mean, to look at it positively, it had some nice race scenes. Like I can't fault them for that. I did like Ludacris in it too, so some positives, but not enough to save it from its placement.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. I honestly agree. Do you have anything against it?
Why Solo?
You can ask me that when we hit the price point.
Yeah, but just to be honest, I'm on the same wavelength as him. My number 8 is Too Fast, Too Furious 2. Me personally, it's the one that introduced me, so it kind of hurts to put it all the way at the bottom. But I know why I liked it in the first place, and the only reason why I liked it was because of the racing, because of Paul Walker, and because of the cars. That was it. The cars were really nice in that one. I really liked his skyline in the beginning. This is what cemented, like, because I know a lot of people say that, oh, Fast and the Furious got goofy with like its stunt and everything, but I clearly remember it being very goofy since the very beginning. Because Too Fast and Furious, you have the beginning where the first car jumps, and then Brian makes it over, and he's literally facing the ground in one scene, and then he lands fine. He's the only car that landed without a scratch, let's just say, and then the other two basically got wrecked. And him just being like, I understand the premise, like he was being on the run and everything. I will say that I think the villain in that movie was actually very good. I think that he reminded me of, like, have you seen All About the Benjamins? He reminded me of that villain.
Oh yeah,
like he's kind of like the same as him. Like he was just evil and rich type shit, and I like that. I was like, okay, this makes sense. It was very leveled. Yeah. So very simple plot. It wasn't very complex. So I can't really say that I could put it up there. But the acting performances, I can agree with you. Tyrese Gibson is not a leading man, in my opinion. I think he's better off for like, comic relief on the side. Having him in your face all the time and saying, "We home." I'm like, you said it so many times in the movie, bro. Like, you're good. You're good. But other than that, I mean, I think a good positive for this movie is I can say really showed that they needed Vin Diesel, if that makes sense. Like, it showed that they needed, I think this Too Fast and Furious and Tokyo Drift basically showed the studio like, hey, we need them together. Yeah, it's not just one or the other making this work. It's both of them. And I could say that, for all its flaws, at least we got better things in the horizon. Yeah. So, no, anybody? Nothing against it? No.
Yeah. It can't be that low. It gave me like Bad Boys vibes for that movie. But you were right that Tyrese Gibson, his jokes were not that great, but there were some parts that were funny. The racing right away from the beginning, I liked that a lot. They hit up Brian like, hey, we need a racer. You in? Yeah. And takes off. It was a little goofy when everybody's cars messed up except for his. Yeah, but he was the main character.
Yeah, but not just that, but like also like too, where he was able to, without nitrous, was able to make that muscle car jump from the bay to the boat.
Heavy ass car.
And I was like, there's no way would he clear that. It's not without nitrous. You know what I mean? Like, if it had nitrous, I would have been like, okay, maybe. But yeah, that and then like. I can even remember back to the first one, and I know kind of like going off, but like the first one too, like the ending, when like Dom hits the truck when they're racing, whatever, and he just hits that shit and goes all the way. Yeah. I'm like, just for that argument that that these movies get 2 hours, and I kind of feel like they've been doing it since the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I don't really focus as much on that, because I know they've always been silly.
They kind of go off track. It's all good. But yeah, what is your number 7 then?
Then I think it's gonna have to be number 8. Number 8. I mean, it was good that to see Vin Diesel as a bad guy, because every good guy, nobody wants to see a good guy as a bad guy. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing as the other ones. It just goes a little too high tech, a little too. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm thinking about the right one. Yeah, but yeah, it's I get lost with the sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, that's it. I could agree.
Okay. Yeah, like in Fast X, that one small moment where they're using lasers to fix Letty's stab wound. Yeah, I was like, what is this? Like, we don't have real doctors?
Out the blue and almost slices up everybody.
Yeah, but
yeah, I use a lot of tech. That's crazy. Yeah, they really upped it with like technology.
Was it also with the submarine, or was it that one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I see the Dodge Charger with spikes on the tires to drive on the ice. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, a submarine comes out. See, that's where it meant, like submarine, space, and then I was thinking time machine.
I was watching Fast 8, bro, and I was like, oh, okay, the submarine part. I was like, all right, she's gonna come up and be badass, because she was like, she said, I want the submarine to come out and kill these guys, right? Kill Dom's crew. She punches it out, but she gets her crew. She doesn't even get Dom in the game. They're like right in the movie here, and she knocks out her whole crew. And I'm just like, aren't you supposed to be helping them? Like, you guys are for the same goal, no? I didn't. I was just thinking, this movie
in 8 when is it 8 where something explodes, but all the cars protect Dom?
Oh yeah, that's the very end.
Ridiculous shit, dude.
That's when I guess a heat seeker was coming up and it hit the ground, the ice or whatever, and then Dom was just right there in the ice. He was like, "Oh no!" Like he was just going. Everybody came up with their cars. Mm-hmm.
That's another one of his super abilities. His he's bombs don't hurt him, and fire.
I thought
Those
like
are-
telepathy to call his family. I thought it was just like,
No, mind control.
Assemble.
all right. So nobody has any arguments with that. At that point, all right, we're good. Josh, what is your number 7?
It's Fast X. I liked it that much. I honestly just prefer it over these ones. Like with 2, 8, and 9, they're not as enjoyable as this one. Honestly, like I feel like when I decide to go back and rewatch these, when we get X on DVD and stuff, it's going to be a struggle to get through those ones to get to that one because I really just want to see that one again, you know. But you can't do that when I watch the previous ones. And then, like I said it before, Jason Momoa like carries this one for me. Alan Rickman carries it for me. Like as much as everything is outlandish and stuff, I still had a good time than I did with the last in my list. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's why it's like kind of higher than the rest. I understand it's also number 7 because it does suffer faults. I'm not saying it's perfect, but perfect placement for me, I think.
Okay. Well, I can't argue with you. Can you?
No.
Good.
I can't argue with you because my number 7 is Fast X as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
See, now we're leaving.
Fast X for me, I put it at 7 because it's not the worst, but it's not the best for me either. It did have that entertainment value. That's why I put it above Too Fast and Furious. And, well, to be honest, 9 and this one kind of went hand in hand. But like I said, they doubled down on some things like the meta stuff and being self-aware, but they did kind of scale back on spectacle, in my opinion, and kind of hit us with that F8 range where it's outlandish, but not super outlandish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know Fury 7 kind of added to that, but I feel like F8 was that perfect balance. Okay. I know everybody's opinion is different, but I think it's a perfect balance because, you know, technology is a big thing and it's prominent nowadays. So if they're going to have CIA people who can track your every move with, you know, with cameras, I'm assuming you can, you know, use chips and stuff to maneuver things, whatever. So
Yeah.
It kind of helped out with the way I was making these movies. So I guess the best way to compare it is the doubling down kind of hurt it, but at the same time, keeping it a little bit more to where it was with F8 kind of left it where it was.
Yeah.
So I can't.
That's fair.
It's not the best movie. It's not the worst. I don't know. And I'm sure you don't have anything for that. Agree, disagree?
I don't know. I really like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like. Well, it's also not my top ones, but where you put it now.
Yeah, you prefer it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see that. All right. So we knocked down the first, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. The first 4. Raymond, what's your number 6?
It's going to have to be the 6th movie.
The Furious 6.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Why? Not in top 5? What the fuck?
I mean, it is good.
Okay.
It is good. I mean,
There's just
I thought it was a little suspicious how Hobbs just finds him real quick, and even though he was supposed to look after him, look for Dom, and Fast 5, he's supposed to give him an hour head start, but in this one, in 6, he finds him right away.
Well, Furious 6 is supposed to be, that one's the one where it's the team, Owen Young, the team in London. You see in the beginning that, what's the name? The Rock shows up in London. They wind up having this big skirmish. They move along. It turns out to be Owen Shaw and the boys, so he has to recruit Dom and the family to go ahead and fight these people. They're basically their equals.
That's when they start their lives as secret agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when that's not nobody, huh? That's when Steph Hobbs is just like, hey, I need you for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you help us, we give you freedom, and then plus you get Letty back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of 6 is just them trying to save Letty.
And well, for me, I really like racing scenes, and there wasn't that much. There was a racing scene where he does get to race Letty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like the only one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Unless you count the runway part, the infamous runway that
The longest runaway here is that was a plane versus cars.
yes, supposedly it took a turn. I don't remember it turning. Do you?
It just does a fat U-turn.
I
Yeah,
don't remember.
it had
It
giant.
was a straight shot.
I know.
Yeah,
And, yeah, I gotta call bullshit on that shit. What the fuck? Furious 6 at 6 spot? No, there's no way.
Yeah.
That one's, in my opinion, is one of the better movies from the Fast franchise.
But I mean, I kind of see where he's coming from. I wouldn't have. Mine is not placed that low, but I see what he's saying.
yeah. Well, for me, it's because I enjoy more of the cars, and they do have that moment where they get together as a group and like, all right, the cars they're driving has to be turbo diesel, yeah, but it has a sequential transmission. Well, I don't know if you noticed, in most of the movies they have like that group huddle and then try to figure out the car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean that is pretty cool and
There
stuff.
were some highlights in this.
Yeah.
I like the scene in that one where, I like the scene in that one where it's The Rock and Ludacris, and the dude's like, I don't even think you guys can afford these cars. And then they get him, he's like,
Yeah.
your suit. And he gets him the strip and everything. I like
Gotta
that
be
scene.
less functional, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that scene.
I like the little nod in Furious 6 where it's like, because in Too Fast, Too Furious, they had the big old guns to stop the cars.
Yeah.
And then in Furious 6, they got resorted to little discs where they just pop onto the cars and completely, and doesn't turn them off, just gets them stuck in a certain direction. And Ludacris said Tyrese should have died in those scenes, but hey, that's just me. They survived it.
But
Ludacris took a tumble, I'd say. But yeah, I have to say you put that way too low, and we'll discuss that.
I mean, I have other ones that you put low that I prefer.
yeah, so we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So number 6, Josh, what is it?
My number 6 is actually the fourth one. Same reasons as his for being this low, but still kind of more enjoyable than the other ones. Like, I like that serious tone. I like that this one is a product of its era, if that makes any sense. Because around this time, there was a bunch of cop movies and, like, not just cop movies, but, like things that involve like drug running, you know what I mean? Like, this is the product of its era, you know what I mean? While I don't enjoy that it is kind of a retelling, of these same characters, like Brian is basically where he was in the first one, except he's more successful because he's FBI. And then, Dom had his family, he was doing good in the Dominican Republic till he wasn't, and then Letty dying and stuff. So it was just another introduction in my eyes to these characters that, I mean, I already know because I've seen them before, you know what I mean? I'm sure when it came out, people needed that retelling, but I don't, since I kind of see them consecutively, you know what I mean? And then that's about it. I do enjoy that you get to see them again after basically having 2 movies where they aren't together. But I mean, it kind of suffers from that because I'm like, I don't really need this retelling, For me, it felt kind of iffy.
Saying that word.
Because it's true. Like, I didn't need them to retell me where they were, who they are. That's what I'm trying to get across.
Okay.
But one of my things is, I did like them coming back. I enjoy the Letty dying plot point, even though that's kind of this is the first death, I think, where they're kind of like, she didn't really die. But yeah, that's my number 6.
I got a lot of disagreements for you both, but that's fine. I will wait until the middle section. Number 6 for me has to be Fast 8. I give it Fast 8 because, damn, that shit. All right. Well, like I said, I really like the director who directed it, Gary Gray. I think he did a wonderful job showcasing the cars, showcasing the scenery around, really making the world pop, in my opinion, in a way that I think Justin Lin couldn't do cinematography-wise, I guess, while adding that flair of, like, cars, stunts, all that extra stuff. I do think that it did get a little sci-fi, like how he was saying, but at the same time, if I would have to pick which one is the most grounded, I would have to say F8's a little bit more grounded than the rest of those movies. And I will say that Jason Statham coming back and, helping out, and Owen Shaw helping out as well, really watered down a lot of the moments that I liked in previous films.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I didn't really enjoy this one, but at the same time, spectacle-wise and acting-wise too, Vin Diesel gives a performance in this movie. When he's face-to-face with Cypher, and, obviously, that the baby mama gets a bullet to the brain, he gave a performance. I don't care what anybody says. That is his best performance out of the whole franchise, and he gave it for his son, I guess you can say, in the movie. And everything, it looked like he wanted to kill this girl but held back, and it amped up in Fast X when when she showed up at the door and everything like that. Like that, I like that they kept that tension from that movie into this one, because he was a couple feet away from her, and he could have had her, but the restraint, I don't know. I really felt like he gave a good performance in this movie. I think that's what really picked it up for me after rewatching it, because I was like, it's kind of whack, but then, you see the emotion that he actually put into that role, and I got to give it points for that.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I think for that, I think I might bump it up a notch.
Just switch slightly.
Yeah, because I mean, he doesn't really face. Well, he faces death, but I mean, the only other person that's really died is Letty.
Yeah.
And then he gets to see this character die right in front of him.
Yeah. And I think that was
His baby mama.
I think that showed balls, and I think that really set up Vin in a way to kind of show that, Paul Walker's not here, but hey, I can still carry this franchise with my acting. You know what I mean? And I think he did a good job. Though we don't see that later on as much, and it's fine, but I think he did really good in that.
Yeah. I guess that's fair.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you. All right. Let's go ahead, and because the rest is 5 and down, right? Let's go ahead and break down what we didn't like from each other's list from here on, and then we'll go ahead and break down 5 and below. Now, I know a lot of people had a lot of contingency. Okay, both of you guys said something when I put Tokyo Drift as the last one. Okay, I will give it the props. I should have said this before. I will give it the props that this movie is the only movie in the franchise that is completely just about racing, and I will give that movie that this movie is just completely about racing. Basically, like he just wants to become a good racer in this domain or whatever, and get respect or whatever. But every single thing that happened had to do with, racing, and an extension of that. They try to throw in a little bit of the Yakuza stuff, which is fine, but I guess you can say this one's mostly, I would say, revolves around racing. So nobody comes at my neck for that one.
No, because that's the reason why I like it.
Because it's mostly just racing.
Yeah. And when it comes to the more emotional stuff, like when he starts falling in love with that girl and eventually gets him in trouble. That part,
You could care less?
I could care less.
Oh, okay.
I saw probably you put it that low. You'll find out where I put it in mine, but
what's your problem?
It deserves more love than that. You know what I mean? I think.
Why do you feel like it deserves more love?
Because I understand acting is a pivotal thing, but there is
in a movie where acting is your
there's a bunch of these dudes that don't act in these movies, so I don't see how that's really a problem for you, if that makes any sense.
In this one, well, because the lead man isn't an actor. Like he doesn't give a performance. Like if he gave a performance and the rest of the crew kind of fell short, I could probably give it points, but it just seemed like they were all just like, your cast. Here's the lines. Start rolling. You know what I mean? Like it just seemed like they were more worried about just getting young people than worried about, hey, are they gonna actually be good in this movie? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel like this one deserves more. Not just because it is one of the ones that involves more racing, but it was trying to do something fresh. It kind of, now that I talk about it like out loud, it gave the Karate Kid treatment, but with Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that a lot. Like I feel like if Vin Diesel is right and he decides to put out spinoffs and stuff, I want to see more of like what street racing is like in other places, like Tokyo again, because I just really like the environment. Something about it being very bright. You know what I mean? I love the scenery.
But then they choose the darkest fucking mountain at the end of the movie to race on.
Oh yeah.
I know a little more background on that. Is because they look for the most of the mountains are lonely at night, which is people do drift on mountains at night because there's less people on there,
No.
and so there's also less police force. Police do see it, but they really ignore it because they know they're being safe.
Oh, so
There's nothing
Yeah.
safe about this.
but
Exactly, nothing safe about that, but it does happen. It does happen in real life where they drift around mountains like that. They get practice like that. But yeah, it is very illegal. There's clubs and everything in Tokyo. That's why I also like the movie, because it gave you a perspective of the racing life in another country.
yeah.
It just kind of sucks that they just like that's it, that one movie. But also,
more.
yeah, I made me want to see more. But at the same time, I don't know if they could have made another movie with the same.
Oh yeah.
Not with the same. We literally see races in different countries all the time.
But not
They raced in London.
not in depth like it was with Tokyo Drift. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had a whole different culture where people were just like, "What the fuck is drifting?" I know our main characters never seen that before because all people know how to do with American Muscle is just go, 20 seconds down the line. Like I'm sure when this movie came out, people were like, "What the fuck is drifting?" You know what I mean? And then that's how it all inspired. But like I would want more of that from these movies. If he decides to go on with this whole spin-off thing that he was saying, like I'd want to see more of that. Like how different places in depth race and stuff.
Well, how many different ways of racing is there?
There's drift, there's drag, there's rally. Well, those are the three main ones.
We know what street racing is. We've seen that. So
yeah, or rally, you'll see it with Brian's character Brian's character.
Yeah.
Is that if after I think in the third movie they finally choose what type of vehicles they like. Dom always goes for the muscle car, the domestic muscle car, and Paul Walker always goes for the import. Yeah. So after that he chooses the imports, and that's where I think that's where also gets people to see who's driving what.
So in episode 4, they define their character.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know why. So we defined the characters in the fourth one. So I don't know. I know we're talking about Tokyo Drift, but yeah,
well, that's was my big thing. I feel like this one just kind of deserves more love.
more love. Yeah, it would if the movie wasn't boring and the acting wasn't shit. Because there was a lot of, like I said, there was some good moments in this movie, and I think they showcased a lot. And the bright spot with Han and everything like that, it was a bright spot, but with such a limited time, and just the direction. It wasn't the right direction, I guess. And they should have put a little bit more planning into it, because I know the history, and I know that they were gonna green light it with Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, but Vin Diesel didn't want to come back, so they were just like, oh, they're too old anyways, and they decided to swap them out and put a younger crew in there and take them to a different location. But you can tell that this movie bred a good line of movies after that. But it's just, you got to have that bastard child to that you can look at and be like, I don't want my movies to be like that.
I guess, but we weren't the only ones with gripes. You had a problem with him putting number 4 dead last.
Yes, because how could you, after you just said right now that this movie not only gave these characters their definitive cars, right? Okay.
Yeah.
You guys say, and you kept saying it, okay?
It's true.
Say it again.
Retell it.
Yeah, they try to retell. No, I feel like this movie did it perfectly, where they reintroduced the characters. I didn't say retelling. I didn't say retelling. I said they reintroduced the characters, but also letting the people know where they've been at this whole time. For those that have seen the first one up until that point, they set it up, and for all those people that are like, oh, well, these movies need to go back to its roots or whatever, like is racing. That's what they gave. They doubled down on basically what happened in the first one. Basically said he's back in the FBI. I get it, Paul, whatever. Why would they give him a job back after he ran out or whatever? But they gave him a chance, and they explained it in the movie. Like you said, give them their definitive cars, okay? And then on top of that, yeah, they were both going after Letty, but I like the little plot twist where it was Paul Walker's, it was, again, his fault for why the family is broken. And I think that bond really cements, family, that they can make mistakes, even mistakes where you get somebody killed or, in some cases, memory loss, whatever, and pushes forward. That I think this is the movie that really defined Vin's definition of family as well, right? Where like the movies take that turn for it. We're not just, I call them family, but we're actually family, and we're actually gonna, work together and do things together and stuff like that. So I think this movie really it took what happened in Tokyo Drift and really pushed the envelope forward for what comes next in the next 3 to 4 movies. And I think for it being the perfect stage, I think it deserves a little bit more recognition. I will say the CGI is kind of shit in the tunnel.
Yeah.
But
really crappy.
Yeah, it's really crappy. But other than that, I think the movie does really well.
Interesting.
You guys can't even deny.
No. I mean,
No, but it just doesn't stand out to me. I don't know why. It just doesn't.
For everybody who wants more races in the movies, I don't know. We got a whole bunch of races in that one, I tell you. Whole lot of.
the races weren't the part that I have a problem with.
Okay, what's your problem with
I told you. You don't want me to say it again.
Okay, they're retelling. But they didn't retell anything.
Yeah,
they gave you,
They kind of like soft rebooted you, basically.
to give people context for those that are jumping into this movie. But then also, it's one of those, what did they call it? You called it, right?
Soft reboot.
A soft reboot.
That's why. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I feel like because I've seen them consecutively.
That's what it's called. A reboot sequel. So they rebooted the franchise, but at the same time, giving you the same characters and built upon what was left behind. And this is where we get, in my opinion, I don't think he's the best villain, but I think Braga was like a good low-level villain to kind of really put them on their toes, because they didn't really know what to do. Even Vin Diesel didn't even know what to do. At one point, he crossed the border and they went all the way over there just to fucking kill this man, you know what I mean? And did what they had to do. So I don't know. I feel like this movie, and it kind of set up, in my opinion, the better movies of the franchise. So yeah. Come on. You gotta give me something. A line.
I gave you.
You make good points, but it's still gonna be in the lower part.
I don't know.
I can't convince nobody. At least I convinced you with Fast 8. I take that as a no.
I mean, that's fine. Because it's just I can't get behind it. I don't know what it is. It's always gonna be, to me, like, this is where you're right. It sets up the next ones, but it'll always be that awkward like speed bump to get there. I feel
They also give you Gal Gadot, bro. And if that doesn't give you points, I don't know.
that's not fair. You're pulling out my string because I fucking I'm biased.
You're saying.
It's ridiculous.
Then she tried to slip with Vin Diesel before she did with Han, too. Who would have known?
Yeah, but she works better with Han.
Who would have known how that would have turned out? But
My goodness.
But yeah, I think you guys are wrong on that one, but I will agree to disagree.
Yeah.
At least I'm making points. But yeah, any other movies that we put on this list?
No, I mean, we were all kind of in the same ballparks. Like, we can all agree that.
We just had a couple of anomalies.
Yeah, we can all agree that, like, the ones that we put toward the bottom, like 10, 9, and 8, were kind of like the extremists. And then, me and you shared where 2 is, and we don't know where yours is at with 2. Don't spoil that. But, like, it's very interesting how we all can just consensus that 9 or 8, 9, and 10 were really just out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to get into this top 5.
All right, top 5 then. All right, so, right, we started with you, so we're going to move on with Josh, and we're going to start with him.
All right.
Josh, what is your number 5?
Number 5 has to be top 5 for sure, if not top 3. The first Fast and the Furious is top 5. Number 5. I feel like this is the perfect spot. It started off the franchise. It gives me everything I need. Racing, heists. It introduced me to characters I already know I love. You know what I mean? Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, Letty, the rest of the gang. Even though they kind of dwindle out throughout the franchise.
Yeah.
Like Jesse's the first one to kind of bite the dust, and you don't really hear from the rest of them.
At least we didn't bring him back.
He's the first one to get gunned down and not make it. Like, this one really really sets the tone and of what you're getting into with this franchise. I think like if you see the first one and you're like heists and racing, I'm fucking in it. You know what I mean? And then however else the other ones line up with you, whatever. But the first one really hooks you in, and it sets you into the universe of the Fast and Furious franchise. And like it isn't the best for me, and it isn't my favorite, but I have a special place for it, which is top 5.
Okay. I see that. Hey, I don't think I can argue with that. I don't.
Yeah, it's these top 5 are just gonna be the best.
Yeah. Unless somebody really wants to pull the trigger. But number 5 for you, what would it be?
I think it's gonna be 7.
7?
7.
Okay.
7. Well, I think because it pulled my heartstring with the ending, but the action sequence. I mean, it is a little over the top too, where they jump out of the airplanes with the vehicles.
Yeah.
That was crazy, but kind of cool at the same time. And I don't know, that one was my favorite, and then after that, it just starts building up. So that one was my favorite before it starts building up, going even more crazier.
Okay. I see that. Yeah. I will say that for that one, the action scenes were a little bit weaker in that movie, but I feel like we can kind of understand they couldn't do too much because of the limited.
Oh yeah, what happened, and so part of the movie had to be filmed with his brother.
Sad times.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Because a lot of the scenes, they didn't really want him making a lot of facial expressions to save money and to keep him in there. Honestly, I rewatched it and I could tell a lot more like where he was CGI'd and stuff like that. So
it was funky. Yeah, it was funky looking. Yeah.
At first on the big screen, to be honest, I didn't notice it, but now watching on the movie a few years later, you can kind of tell.
Yeah, it's the high def. High def then is not the same high def now. So you'll look at let's just say Shrek, the first one. If you watch it now in high def, you'll see like, oh wow, this is made on a Windows Vista.
Less than 1080p. I don't want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, can't argue with you there. I mean, if that's where you want to place it, I think it's kind of low.
Yeah,
hey,
I think that one's kind of
but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
My number 5 has to be same as you, the Fast and the Furious, the very first one, 2001. I think it was great. It just had a lot of cheesy moments that at the time, it's a product of its time. Like how you said with Fast and Furious. It was very a lot of cliches with teenage race car drivers and stuff like that. Being rebellious. Now pulling a shotty out and wanting to go take some justice out on somebody. That's where it kind of goes a little crazy. But it wouldn't be a fast movie. And I think you're right. I think the tone and everything kind of set this one. I know a lot of people are like, well, since when does Dom start shooting and stuff like that? Well, the very first one, he pulled out a shotty and was like, I'm ready to go. Paul Walker, same thing. He's a trained cop. He knew what he was doing. So, he has the training for it. And it really shows you and lays that groundwork for what's to come.
Exactly.
Obviously, years later that nobody knew it was going to happen.
No.
Dom was a little more ghetto.
He was a little more hood with it.
Yeah, like why are we gonna fight? I got a shotgun right here.
Right there. Yep. You thought this was a street fight? But yeah, so that's my number 5. No, and I'm assuming nobody has any remarks.
Obviously,
All right,
no.
Perfect. What is your number 4, Josh?
My number 4 is hold on, drum roll while I get to it. Fast and the Furious 6.
Jesus, man, what the fuck? Guys?
Like this one was tough. I don't know where I wanted to place it at first, but after looking at where my top 3 are, this one had to make the sacrifice play. Still better, obviously better than the first one, better than all the other ones before it. It's self-replacing because I think the other 3 are good. There's nothing necessarily bad about this one other than Gal dying. So fucking that will forever hurt. But like this one just really brings it all together. I think it's really good. It's a really good one.
Okay, all right. I have a bone to pick with you later. What's your number 4, Raymond?
Number 4, Fast X.
Okay. Oh, damn. Damn.
Well,
at least it's not top 3, I guess. But okay.
It just has to be the sequence of events. Having a villain that's OP, like it just has and with the cliffhanger at the end, it just has me wondering what's gonna happen.
Okay.
And with the possibilities of in part 2, like what else, like who else is that died is gonna come back.
Oh, the cliffhanger
It's
got him.
it's like a silly way of looking at it, but I'm like excited to see what.
Yeah, the goofiness. And
Yeah, the good.
what's to come.
Yeah.
I see that. I can see that. I still think it's kind of high, but I mean, so am I. But moving on. My number 4, I have to give it to, and I know everybody's gonna come at me. That's fine. I don't give a fuck. Fast 5. Number 4 is Fast 5, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Too fucking low.
It was good. It was a good movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It suffers because of how you said placement, but I think with this one, it was more, they saved all the spectacle for the very end of the movie, and it was just that one big safe scene where, you know, I know we had the train in the beginning, but like everything else in the middle was kind of meh. You know, it was mostly setup, I guess you could say. It was mostly set up for what was going to happen at the end of the movie, and I do love the relationships. The acting was great. Showing Gal and Han, you know, building that relationship up. Vin struggling with, obviously, losing Letty and trying to figure out a different life, and, you know, help Brian move on and, you know, have his kid and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I think this movie did really well. The fight scene between Johnson and Vin Diesel, obviously that's going to always be iconic, and it's I love the beginning of it too, where, you know, they break him out of prison. I love how it continuously connects to the fourth one and just keeps going. So
Yeah.
Fast 5 by any means is not a bad movie. It's just I had to put it where it needed to be placed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah. I know you probably think it's kind of low.
Yeah. I think that.
You think it's low? You think it's
No.
low? You think it's around the perfect ballpark? At least?
Yeah, around there. Yeah.
Okay. Josh, let me know what your number 3 is.
It's Tokyo Drift.
What the fuck?
I told you it needed more love, man. I just,
Jesus.
even if this movie is outdated, like obviously you can tell it's outdated with the phones and stuff, but like it just, to me, I still love everything about it. Like, even if you guys say it's predictable, like I still enjoy it, like everything about it. Even the build up, the racing. I like this dude. I didn't really like him in 8 or 9 when he shows up, but I liked him as an introduction character. Like, he was pretty cool. Like, if he would have stuck around, I'm sure he would have been fucking great, but that doesn't happen. And then like I said, I really like the world building in this one. Like, I like seeing the Yakuza, you know what I mean? Like in America, like you said, you like Braga. This is like their Braga, you know what I mean? I like the mafia aspect of it all.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a little silly. The mafia is like, he looks over street racing and stuff, but I mean, if his son is this street racing brat, of course he's gonna, you know, pull the strings to make it safe for him and whatnot. However the fuck that happens. I just really like that aspect. And then the racing, the cars, like, it all really comes together. And the soundtrack in this one is just, like, it's really good. top 3.
It's a classic. I ain't gonna lie. It's one of the better soundtracks of the franchise.
Yeah.
But you're overlooking way too much over nostalgia, I think. I think you love this one because it's nostalgia factor, and I think you're overlooking a lot of flaws in this movie. There is a lot of flaws within this movie. 100%. No.
I think I could have used better actors.
100%.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that.
That's the only thing that turned me down on it, is that probably could have used better actors for it.
I see that. Yeah.
The only person that
I'd say too, you know what? Because thinking about it now, Lucas Black, seeing him come out in 9, and for that little scene, I believe in 7, right when Han dies and he goes to visit him, I might blame the writers. I might not even blame the acting. I might blame the writers of Tokyo Drift, because he does speak and act decent in those little scenes. I don't know if it's because it's a little scene and it's not really like a big pocket. Obviously it's not a big movie, but he doesn't do too bad in these ones. Whereas in Tokyo Drift, like, a lot of the dialogue was very not that great, in my opinion.
If anything, it could be that, you know what I mean? Because, you know, it is one of those things where it's an American's POV of a place that you could bring people in for, but unless you really experience it yourself, you're only going to get their interpretation of it. You know what I mean? So while we know Tokyo is this brightly colored place, and, you know, the Yakuza exists and whatnot, we're not really getting that. We're getting someone's interpretation of it, you know? Like, how is an American gonna react to all this stuff, you know? So that could be it, you know? Or it is what it is. I can't really back it up, but that's just my third placement. I really enjoyed that movie.
Damn it. That's a crazy placement. That is a hot take for sure. That is crazy. What is your number 3?
Fast Five. I could watch that movie over and over again.
Top 3?
Yeah, top 3.
Is
Fast
it
Five.
the Diesel versus Wayne fight?
Yes. Their fight, Doma actually almost killed someone. I guess that fight got good, and then it went over the top when he brought out the weapon and trying to smack him in the face with a pipe wrench.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the fact that they were being pursued by Hobbs, and then that they still had to pull this heist.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh firmly believes that that Vin Diesel won that fight.
Yeah. More of when I get to that movie, but for sure.
Yeah.
Like you'll hear my reasoning and everything. There's just no fucking way.
Yeah, everybody's just watching them fight.
Top 3, I'll see it.
No argument there.
Yeah, I can't even argue with that. I like I said, I just think my placement for that movie kind of suffers because there's more, in my opinion. But my number 3, I got to give it a Fury 7. Okay, in my opinion, has one of the better soundtracks out there. Okay, yeah, the action's kind of weak for me and stuff like that, but I think seeing Paul Walker adjust to normal life and basically picking up where Vin Diesel and Letty left off and not completely ignoring what happened in number 6 and continuing and saying like, I need to help you find your memories. You know what I mean? I did think that it was kind of over the top that they had gotten married and she forgot or whatever, but at the same time, it was a good motivation to kind of, glimpse at it, I guess. Cameos kind of sucked in this one. I know Iggy Azalea, and I really had a problem with her. I thought that was stupid. And Ronda Rousey, she was just a terrible actress in that movie too. Her lines were not delivered well.
Oh, dude, again. Ridiculous.
No. Other than that, I think the rest of the movie does solid. I think the little tribute at the end of the movie, though it is watered down by later ones, I think does well. And like I said, we got earthbending in the Fast universe, so it's very good. Even though it is kind of outlandish, I think this is one of the ones where I can never tell whether this one was intentional or was just an add-on. Because we know that Paul Walker wanted to go up to 10 movies. That's what Vin Diesel said that they would talk about. It does connect very well with 6, the way they set it up, but with it kind of gets lost in translation with number 8, if that makes sense. So I don't know if this one was that in between where he actually wanted to give some kind of closure to some of these characters, but because of Paul Walker passing away, it had to be whatever it needed to be, kind of thing. But yeah, I think this one does really well, I guess with the send-off of Paul Walker for sure. And I think that's why I got to put it at 3. It never fails to pull on my heartstrings.
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I wrong for this one? Too high?
No.
Too low?
Too low. I guess that leads into my number 2, Furious 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything about this movie was just almost like if one wasn't where I liked it to be, this is obviously right on its ass, because number 7 to me is like that heart that I was talking about. Like the other 5 and 6 had it, but I think because I don't know if it was because it was Paul's last outing and they were like, let's full send it with this emotional stuff, like it really hit. And that's one of my favorite things about this franchise. I know we joke about like it being dumb and cars can't really do this, but I think at the end of it, it really is all about that family, and this one kind of brings it all together. I like that emotional scene. I like Jason Statham in this one. I feel like he was a real force. I feel like it could have benefited from him being in more action scenes. I think reducing him to a few minor things, because I wanted to see more of him. Because they introduced him, he bodied like security guards in a hospital. I wanted to see more of that.
Yeah.
But reducing him down was kind of a waste. But I still think he did phenomenal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, the tribute and everything else, like, I think it could have wrapped up the franchise perfectly, but then, however you feel about the rest of them unwinds it and whatnot, but definitely deserves top second place for me. Okay.
I can't even argue with that one. I think you might be on the right track, maybe. Actually, what do you think? No argument there?
No. It's one of the best.
There you go.
Yeah, one of the best in the franchise.
All right, what's your number 2 then?
Number 2, the first one. Fast and the Furious.
Okay.
Yeah.
The gateway drug to adrenaline.
Heck yeah. Being a little kid and watching that movie on VHS. Going and renting that movie on a Friday night, getting some popcorn.
Hitting the Blockbuster.
Yeah. every one of my friends found out about racing. Racing's good. I mean, it's a beginning. It's a beginning. So I loved most of it, of course. I mean, except now knowing about some little things about the movie that the cars can't really do, like be flamethrowers and stuff like that. I mean, they can't spit out flames, but like being actual flamethrowers.
Yeah.
That's
It's
not awesome.
Yeah.
And what was it? A danger to manifold, and the bottom of the car just starts falling apart.
I know. That opening race is always going to be iconic.
Yeah.
That the bottom panel falling apart.
Mhm.
My thing is that he picked up Dom later, and he never made a stink of like, where's the floor panel? Like his legs weren't dragging under the car. So what was he doing, sitting like this? Yeah, no. I think that's fair. I think nostalgia is really playing into your.
Oh yeah.
Hitting that blockbuster on a Friday.
Yeah.
Very good. My number 2, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says, is the Fast and the Furious, number 4, the fourth one, Fast and the Furious. I don't care what anybody says. Okay.
Okay.
How can argue with me? It's top 2.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, the Fast and the Furious, nostalgia and everything. I can see the flaws with the first one, and I can see how they doubled down and kind of made a couple of the same mistakes, but yet pushed it forward for the next set of movies that are happening.
Yeah.
The introduction of Gal Gadot in this one was great. I think the race scenes were actually amazing. This one was honestly, this was the kind of racing that I wanted to see in the first one. I know in the first one they made it a thing to like close off roads and stuff like that, and in this one when they were just like, nah, go out there and just fucking drive.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty crazy, seeing the cars actually like collide. I think this is the first time where like you can see that. No, I think they did it in Too Fast, Too Furious. Never mind. But I think with the rest of the movie, like the danger was there in this one, right? Like you felt like anything could happen. The actual realism with the shooting of the guns and the way that they, actually did the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I loved how it was racing and grounded. You know what I mean? It was racers grounding the characters, making sure that this is a real world that you can live in. Wasn't too over the top, wasn't too lazy ridden. I think this was a perfect balance, and it deserves top 2, top 3.
Interesting.
I think you guys disrespected it and spit in its face for no reason.
Well, I don't know, man. You've heard our 2 cents, so I mean, I guess if that's where you want to put it. No.
Above 5, man.
Above 5, no. But
all right. Any bad stuff?
No, we said all of that stuff again.
All right.
Already, man.
Perfect. So what's this is gonna be it. Your top 1.
It's Fast 5. This one gives me everything I need in the franchise. It brings together everybody, like culmination of all the past movies up until this point, and then the action. It gives me some racing, which I do enjoy, like that, like when they're in the cop cars and they're just fucking going. Like I love that race scene. And then like I like that they take time to plan the heist. Like I know it's not just like we're gonna wing it, like they kind of usually do now.
Yeah,
they're like, no, we gotta beat the camera 0.4 seconds or whatever, so they keep trying and then they fail, they keep trying. And then I like the bad guy. I just like how everyone kind of came into that role in this one, because they really planned out. It's kind of like if Fast and Furious met like Ocean's 11 and they had a baby. Like
yeah.
Like because they really planned that heist, and then they got the crew together. They got the chameleon, like they said. They got the fast talkers, some good guy that's good with tech, a weapons expert, and the precision drivers and whatever else. I just think, and then the introduction to Hobbs, I think this isn't where his best is at, but it really does give me like really cool moments with him as an introduction. Like he felt like another force, you know what I mean? I know he kind of dwindles down as the movies go, but having him on the opposite side for his first introduction was fucking sick.
Okay.
I think this movie just kind of gives me all of that in one. That's why it deserves first.
You put it that way, I can't even argue.
Yeah.
When you put it like that, it just sounds like you're super passionate about this movie. It's good though.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Yeah, that one's a good one. 100%. What is your number 1, Ray?
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Okay.
That's crazy. Why is that?
Starting off with the beginning scene, the race, when they have to get a couple muscle cars and they race the other 2 guys around the barrel. That was a great race scene. I mean, of course, it had its goofy parts where Brian was driving his car over, I don't know, 80 miles an hour in reverse.
Oh, yeah.
In reverse. And the fact that they gave Tyrese Gibson character an Eclipse with chrome rims for some reason.
And it was purple, by the way.
And it was purple. Like, why? I felt a little bit like racially
Motivated
there, you know?
Damn.
It's kind of like Samuel L. Jackson asking for a purple blade. Star Wars.
Purple in there.
Yeah, but it felt like one of those cool old school movies like Bad Boys, where they had this bad guy they had to get along with undercover, but had to take down at the end. But there's that romantic connection with one of the bad guys' girls or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all there.
I was telling Josh the other day, the only reason why like this movie kind of gets low for me with this one is because of the way they made Paul Walker in this one. I think they made him a simp, because I think in the first one, you know, he was all about Mia, you know what I mean? And he wanted Mia. And I know, like, you know, obviously he's on the run, he's going to move on and shit, but he would get distracted from the missions because of this girl that he wanted to bang, basically. You know what I mean? And that for me, that was like, oh, well, that's not. In the first one, that wasn't his motivation. You know, Mia was a distraction, but he was still trying to get to the bottom of whatever he was trying to do.
Right.
And where, you know, they made her not only the distraction, but like his main focus at one point. And I was like, that doesn't seem like that would have been him. That was.
Yeah, I think they were did with that. Maybe if he would have caught on to something like, oh, I think she might be an undercover or something.
Yeah.
Then and try getting closer. That way they can like share notes or whatever and share information. Then yeah, but the fact that he was pretty much simping over her and put the whole mission in jeopardy.
That's just me. But I mean, I do see why you put it up there. I think if there wasn't any other ones, I think I would have put that one a little bit higher. If I would have just been like, oh, like nostalgia factor, I think Too Fast Too Furious would be my number one too. But I got to factor in all the flaws that come with the movie too, and I think it's a good choice, solid choice, 100%.
Yeah.
Though. My number one is Furious 6. I think it's the best one out of the whole franchise. Okay, fight me if you guys want. That's fine. I think it gave us the perfect ending in the franchise. If they would have ended it at 6, I think it would have been amazing. I think that would have been chef's kiss. Hey, we're good. Now, I know that they were setting up 7, and that's why they continued on. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if 7 was supposed to go the way that it was planned. But, you know, with the ending that it gave us and everything like that, I would say that's perfect ending number 2. But if they would have just ended it with number 6, I think it would have been perfect. You know, they had who else can you beat besides yourselves, right? That's number 1. The villains were good. They outdid them. They thought they had the upper hand, and they were ruthless. In my opinion, gave us two of the best fight scenes of female and female fight scenes with Letty and Gina Carano in that movie as well. A funny action scene where Tyrese and Han were basically getting their ass whooped by one Asian dude, and they were just like, "We don't talk about this." I like the relationship that Tyrese and Han had, especially like when he was trying to figure out like what he's trying to do with Gal, and you know, saying like, "Oh, you're looking to buy this model and not lease it," type shit or whatever, right? I just think this one was perfectly done, and I think Owen. I think he was that OP villain because like first of all, he had all kinds of resources. He showed that respect that was necessary to win, be a good strategist. And at the end of the day, he did not give a fuck. He was one of those that like he was running over people's cars in the middle of the freeway just because it was fucking Tuesday. He was like, oh man, I'm going to fucking fuck these guys. You know what I mean? And then, we did get the flight ability out of it and stuff like that. But I think this movie was just well done. I think if they would have just left it as it was, this movie would have been the perfect ending to a perfect saga, or whatever. Kind of like and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like how Star Wars is. You know what I mean? The original trilogy and the prequel. Like you had a couple rough patches, but at the end it culminates to one big closure kind of thing. And I think 6 would have been that closure. I think that's why it was like so perfect. And I think at least between 4, 5, and 6, there was a lot of parallels. Like I said, the whole gun, the shooting the gun to stop the cars, that was one of them. A lot of technology came up from like that you've seen from Too Fast, Too Furious, from the first Fast and the Furious, and they basically jacked it up to 10 in this like arc or trilogy, you may say.
Yeah, because they only get a little bit more elaborate. You know what I mean? Like, well, just to bring it up, like in the 4th one, the beginning sequence, they're like, let's just steal this fucking gas, this fucking gold mine in the Dominican Republic. So, they freeze it and then they just like haul it off like normal. And then, the big action piece or whatnot. But then in 5, how do they break out Dom, and then how do they get the fucking, even though it goes sideways, how do they get the cars off the train, you know, with that elaborate little like truck thing that we said would have probably smashed those people, you know?
Yeah.
Like got them off, and then, you know, it goes on and so forth. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think 6 is, honestly, I think it's one of the best ones. And yeah, honestly, I think the runway is like the only biggest flaw, right? I think the runway is like the biggest red flag. Like, hey, why the fuck was the runway so big? Also, come on, you can't even deny that fight between Dwayne, Vin, and Owen and the other big fucking galoot, whatever, in that plane.
Mm-hmm.
That shit was crazy. That whole sequence is crazy. You always like were on the edge of your seat, like seeing, you know, Tyrese and Ludacris like on the side over there, you know, Han and Gal on the other side over here struggling and shit. Like it's a perfect culmination for everything that happened.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was like a bunch of chaos during that scene. It was pretty good.
Yeah, and there was that sense of you know, that you could die, you know, and in that movie. So I think that's what really adds to like a lot of what happens at the end to be a real good resolution, because it has that heart, that family aspect at the end, but at the same time, it, you know, you were scared that they could have lost the family. Point, you know, so
back when it meant something.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, top 5. Anything wrong with these 5?
No.
I would just say Too Fast, Too Furious being number 1 is, but I understand 100% where you're coming from. I can't even argue.
I get it. It's nothing big. I could also understand Fast X being up there, even though it wasn't for me. But I mean, I get it, you know.
I don't know. I'd keep it a bug. I don't get that one.
No.
Yeah. Like you put F9 all the way at the bottom, but you put Fast X
because that one's garbage. FX, it's just.
Oh, you know what? It gave a
X, aka Fasten Your Seatbelt, aka Fast Infinity War.
They brought back for a quick second that what they used to do is when they hit the nitrous, they would show the whole sequence of where it would go through.
Engine scene. I thought that she was cool.
See, they stopped doing that after I think the second one.
Yeah.
They haven't shown. Oh well, no, they showed it in the 4th one.
In the 4th one?
Yeah, they showed it in the 4th one. But yeah, after that, they never showed it again.
Yeah,
I know. I thought that shit was cool. That's why I think I reported it to you when he hit it and then it did the whole like arm thing. I like nudged you if you remember, and I was like, "That's the fucking thing!" Like, classic shit. Like that was cool.
I think in the 4th one too, I thought it was pretty cool because at the ending, like they do it again or whatever. But like you know how like they're breaking them out of the bus or whatever, and it goes into credits. Like I like the end credits for that one because it shows you all the car parts and like it going through the nitro and like the cars moving around and shit like that. It's very satisfying, very satisfying. So here we are, right? We ranked them all. We knocked them all down.
Yeah.
I want to figure out and I want to get to the bottom of which one. I know we all have different opinions, all right? I know we all have them, but I'm going to figure out and I'm going to get to the bottom of which one is top tier, okay? And I got questions lined up in order to figure that out.
Okay.
All right. So, number 1, I need to know who is the best villain of the franchise. Best villain. Best. Hands down.
Oh,
villain.
I already said it, man. It's Jason Momoa. I think it's Jason Momoa. If not him, not Owen, his brother.
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham, okay. Yeah. Though it's but tie between those two, but Momoa is a little bit higher.
Interesting. Okay.
You're the same. Yeah, it's
Momoa too?
Momoa just slightly above Jason Statham's character. Yeah.
I tell you, he was fucking phenomenal. I think I can't wait to see what he comes up with in the second one, in the second part. But like I feel like he is what the franchise needed, like character wise and everything. You know what I mean?
I gotta respectfully disagree. I gotta say Owen Shaw is the best. I think you guys are suffering from new movie-itis.
No.
And I think you guys are suffering from that. But Owen Shaw has to be the best villain, hands down. Even before his brother or whatever, like you got to think like in my opinion, he's like that reckless little brother who can actually do damage by accident, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like he's purposely trying to do damage, but he also causes a lot of wreckage in his wake too.
Like indirectly.
Yeah, indirectly. And I know they play on that in like Furious 7 and Furious 8 or Fast 8 when you know, he's recruited Jason Statham's around and stuff like that. Like, I think the beginning is like, you always pick the fights with the biggest people and I always got to finish it up. Like, he, in my opinion, was the big bad and I almost gave it to Statham, but I think his role was cut short in Fury 7 to the point where you didn't really see a lot more action besides probably him fighting Dom at the end with those sticks or whatever, which I thought it should have just been hand-to-hand combat or whatever.
Yeah.
But and with Dwayne Johnson, which I think that fight was actually pretty good. The camera work for that one was pretty good. But yeah, I think Owen has to take the cake as the best villain. I mean, I understand your guys' POV with Jason Momoa, but I think he was just too out of pocket. I understand the reasoning, but I'm not
See,
sure.
but that's why they made him psycho, because you don't know what he's gonna come up with. I think they gave him that little detail, that way you can't predict what he's gonna do.
And that's the thing that, in my opinion, Owen had. I think because how everybody said, like in that movie too, is that you don't get close to him unless he wants you there. And so, like, the whole time he was playing chess while they were just playing checkers. And then Momoa, he's seemingly doing the same thing, but it just seems to just be working out for him. You know what I mean? It's not really like, it doesn't seem like pre-planned like how Owen did it in Furious 6. Like, he had everything down to a T, to the point where even, you know, he had an escape plan, where Momoa just seems like says he has it planned out, but he's just winging it and then just hoping for the best type shit.
No, I don't think I see that, man. He orchestrated that whole bridge scene, you know what I mean? And then the only things I think he doesn't predict, and like it doesn't work for him, is how Dom reacts. You know what I mean? Like when he decided to like flip that helicopter toward him, and then, you know, it actually hits him and he causes him to like scurry off and whatnot. Like, I think that catches him by surprise. Like, he's just like, he's like, I knew you'd react a certain way, but I didn't think you were gonna hit me with a fucking helicopter, you know? Like, that's how I see it. Because even he orchestrated it in Rio, but he wasn't planning on half of the people to be on Dom's side, you know what I mean?
Say it took him 10 years to do it. Yeah, whatever. Owen Shaw kind of just swung into action the next year.
It wasn't even his bad guy. Hobbs asked for their help. How you feel about that one?
But then he made him their problem with Letty. Okay, Letty was a part of them, so it was their villain.
Half the time, what would they have done if he was just like, damn, that's not Letty, he played us, let's leave? At that point, it's Hobbs' problem. Yeah, no,
That's not what happened. That's not what happened. No.
Anyway, moving forward, because I think this is gonna, you know, but as
Okay, I guess 2-on-1 makes sense, but oh no, you guys.
Yeah, but they do have that psychotic tendency, but it seems that Jason Statham's character is a little bit more controlled.
for sure.
Yeah, it's more controlled, because in Fast X he was hitting the punchy bag, but you could hear noises coming out of it.
That shit he was beating someone in it, and then like he gets hit by the car, you just hear
He gets up and runs out.
Yeah.
In his underwear. Goddamn. Yeah, man. I'll give it to you guys because it's 2-on-1, and I don't want to get jumped right now. But I think you guys are suffering from new movie-itis.
No.
Movie-itis. Best actor versus actor fight. What is the best fight out there?
I have two.
Okay.
Because I feel like they're so on par, right?
Okay.
The obvious one, Hobbs versus Dom, Fast 5. That one, I really feel like they are really going at it, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's a movie, but I feel like the hits are real, you know what I mean? Like when that scene, I can remember it so vividly because we just watched it. But when I think it's Dom hitting Hobbs, he hits him like twice, and then he smacks his head against the wall. I was like, damn, like he hit him with that combo, right? And then my next one, it's Hobbs versus Shaw, Furious 7.
Okay.
Like I think they just put on a performance, or maybe it's The Rock, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Yeah, I like how Statham was very speedy, and like the Rock was kind of like slow to hit, but like when he hit, it hit hard,
Yeah.
kind of shit. Yeah, you can tell like they stayed at pace, like where they're supposed to be. It was very well done. What are your fights?
Damn, we're right on. Hobbs versus Dom. Yeah, because it looked like they were actually going at it, and like there was some type of emotion into their fight scene.
Like if Dom didn't win, even though it was kind of inevitable if he won, but if he didn't win, his family was gonna suffer. So like that's, I think, what kind of made it that edge and really put you on the edge of your seat, like who's gonna win. And then I think Dom won, but because of circumstances and deciding not to be shot.
Well, I think it was because Hobbs shows up to where they were at,
Yeah.
without them knowing. So that's why he felt like pretty much like they've vulnerable.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a cornered animal.
Like a cornered animal. So that's why they got down.
Yeah, I agree. I think is that the only one that you have? Is just Hobbs and Dom?
Yeah. Then Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that. I think we're all gonna unanimously get it, but I think Hobbs and Dom is one of the better fights out there. But I will throw in the ring too. Obviously Gina Carano's and Letty's fight in Furious 6. I think both times are amazing. I think the fall down the stairs was great, and I think the fight on the plane was pretty great. Honorable mention, I gotta give the 2v2 that was in the plane. I gotta give that one a shout out. I know I already said it, but and then what trying to remember. I know that they tried to like redo. I think it's hilarious that they try to do that Hobbs and Dom fight with John Cena. I just wanted to give it a mention because I thought it was hilarious how it flopped. It wasn't as like hard hitting, and it like I think Cena gave a better performance fighting all those goons in Fast X than he did with that Vin Diesel versus John Cena fight. 100%.
I guess.
Just to throw dirt at someone's eye.
Yeah. No. I guess that's fair.
I guess unanimously, Hobbs and Dom is. I hasn't been topped yet.
Yeah. No.
Nothing came close yet. Okay.
I don't think so.
All right. Very good. We gave the best villain. What about the best action scene? Race car action scene.
I have two.
Okay.
So it's the vault scene where they're dragging the vault through the city.
Okay.
Like, I think that whole sequence is fucking like phenomenal. And then I know it's simple, but jumping the car through the towers in Dubai in Furious 7, that's one of my favorites too.
Okay.
Those two kind of like hold the bar for me.
Interesting. All right. What about you? What best action scenes with vehicular warfare?
Vehicular warfare has to be the Charger scene. Yeah, where they pull the vault. It was pretty insane, and you think like, how is this even possible? But nothing's impossible when you got family.
Yeah.
I like to hear it. I like to hear it. I gotta say, I really, as much shit as we give Fast 9, I think the magnet scene is pretty cool. I think it's very entertaining. I think the whole, like, how they utilize it and stuff like that. I know we get some dumb moments, like when John Cena's caught by a car and passed over to a different car.
Yeah.
When the dude gets caught by gets a car thrown at him by Vin Diesel, that's crazy. I think that scene's pretty good. And then if I have to give it to another one, at least a second one, I really like the F8. I like the whole Dom versus the crew scene. Where, it's all the cars, and then
they like use the little grappling wires on it.
Yeah, exactly. I like that scene too. I like when he makes the cars flip over, and even his car flips over and shit like that. And then you get that little scene at the end where, Letty's about to get shot, and he gives another emotional thing. I honestly think Vin Diesel did a phenomenal job in F8. I think his acting chops really went to 10, but then where it went, who knows?
It's probably because he still felt emotional. It might be something like actual, like, human. Yeah, is that he's probably still felt emotional, and he had to give a pretty good performance in order to keep on carrying the franchise.
Yeah, to give it a reason to go. Yeah. Interesting. And before we get to the closing thoughts, best race of the franchise.
Best race.
Which one was the one that you guys were like, damn, this is the race that goes hella hard?
I'll let Raymond go first.
I'm caught between two. Because I think of course, Too Fast, Too Furious. Okay. The beginning one was pretty exciting. How they closed off all the streets and they set up everything. They would call Brian like, hey, we need one more like pull up, and he goes. I think that was a pretty exciting race, but also when Brian and Tyrese Gibson's character raced the other two guys in the muscle cars, and that one I didn't know who was gonna win pretty much because they did their cars had way more horsepower than their cars did, and so they had to find a way to finesse their way to winning.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. I think my favorite is the cop car one. I just really like that it's all four of them. They're all experienced. This is kind of like the first time we've seen them all go against each other.
And it's all equal cars.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like he's a Skyline, he's in his, his Charger, and then the other two are in their car of choice. But like, it's all equal stakes. Roman cheats and still loses. And then I just like that Vin Diesel lets him win. You know what I mean? It's not like when they raced in the last movie prior where he had to cheat, you know what I mean, to get there.
Yeah,
I really like that he was just like, I'm gonna ease off, and then he let him win.
Yeah.
But I see that. I think it's my favorite race.
Yeah, I would give it to that one too because that was one that I was thinking, but I also got to give it to Fast and the Furious 4. I think the street race when they're trying to prove themselves to Braga, when Vin basically bumps Paul Walker at the end of the race, and he's like, "Oh no, that's bullshit," and the guy's like, "Hey, go carry your mama." Eh? I'm like, okay, this is one of the better races. I think that one and the cop car one because I think you're right. I think that's like the first time they actually got in a car and it was all equal. You know, no nos, no nothing. It's like, hey, what does Dom always say is like, is the driver that makes a car or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that really cemented that in that one. And yeah, it was a touching moment to know that he let him win. So
I think one of the more extreme ones, like if I had to choose one of those ones, it's the one you mentioned earlier in Fast 8, where he's racing and his car catches on fire.
Yeah.
Mid race.
Yeah.
You're just like, damn, he still won. You're just like, what the fuck?
He was like, this is a trick that Brian showed me. I'm like, Brian showed you how to blow up your car?
Because it was in Cuba, right? He was using someone else's car.
Yeah.
Made it catch fire, threw it into the ocean, and that's it. The other dude got left without a car.
No, you admit.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did. Yeah.
He was like, here, you can have mine. And then the dude was like, you can keep your keys. I just want your respect. It's good enough for me.
No, Don borrowed someone else's car to race because to show him like, oh, it's not about the car, it's about the driver.
Yeah.
But the dude he lost against was supposed to give him his car.
Yeah. But then he gave him the red car. He gave him the red one that's all that's supposed to be Dom's right there in Cuba. He wound up giving it to his nephew. So he let the dude keep his car and he gave him his car basically.
Okay.
So Dom ruined his car and then Dom gave him his cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very, very
Well, that's like an honorable mention, I think.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So here we are, guys. We're heading towards the end, hitting the last final corners of this episode. One thing that I want to bring up, and hopefully this kind of sparks a little bit of conversation, is the evolution of the franchise. We talked about it a little briefly earlier, right? Now, I wanted you to break down what you were saying earlier. You did say that they turn into spies and all that. So if you can just give us a little from your head, like where it started and where it has ended up as of right now with Fast X.
Well, beginning was good because Brian was just undercover, and then it was all about being it was I guess a little bit more relatable. Well, not really relatable. I mean, because you're not out street racing, but you related more to the characters. And then Fast 5 came and it was pretty good with the heists and everything going on, but now it included someone that was looking for them from the government. And so from then on, bringing back Hobbs and telling them like, oh, I need your help to find this high tech gear. And then like, all right, and then now they're flying in jets, looking for this super secret technology that could wipe out an entire nation's infrastructure and whatnot. And then from then on, it just starts building on more and more. I think nine is the one that where it literally was way out there. It was way out in outer space. Yeah. And before that, it was God's Eye, where
Mr. Nobody.
Yeah, Mr. Nobody. Like that's even beyond. Is it like beyond Hobbs?
He's like different branch entirely.
Yeah, see, so it just goes deeper and deeper in the government now. and international secrecy and stuff like that, espionage and Fast X. They're in a black site somewhere in the Antarctica.
Mm-hmm. That shit was tough. I was like, damn, she in trouble. Send her all the way to the Arctic. Damn.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. So so the evolution kind of went from street racers to doing CIA dirty work to becoming part of that organization and to now basically being that. Do you agree, Josh?
No, not really. I mean, I've always felt they were heist movies. I think that the first sequence we see in the first Fast and Furious movie is them heisting that truck. And the big problem is that the truckers are being stolen from. They're being heisted by these 3 Civics. We don't know who they are, but if the cops don't stop them, the trucks are going to start taking them into their own hands, which they do. We find out in the middle when they try to do that heist and fail that that trucker was prepared with a shotty. You know what I mean? So I feel like they've always been heist movies. 2 kind of strays from the idea of a heist, trying to be more street racing, which I mean, I can see where you're coming from. That one did have more races. Same with Tokyo Drift. That one kind of got rid of the whole thing, but it involved the mafia. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then, 4 is back trying to get it back to its roots, racing and stuff. And then, but that one kind of set the roots
5, again, another heist. 6, this is where it kind of changes. It's not heisting anymore. It's more about stopping, trying to get their names cleared, basically.
Yeah, to get home.
And so this is where that spy stuff comes in, and it does change. But I feel like it's always been more heist stuff than like racing stuff. It involves racing, but not to that heavy point as it should. And then Mr. Nobody shows up, and it's like, damn, like they went from trying to clear their name to going into this deep shit of like espionage and high tech stuff.
Yeah.
That's where I see the evolution, and I feel like that turning point was 4. You know what I mean? That's where I see it.
I can see both of you guys' point of view. So do you guys think that because of the fact that they went off track with Tokyo Drift, right, and all that, them needing to figure out a way to connect that into the movies, do you think that's a reason why they probably upped the ante to those places, or am I off the marker?
A little bit, because I mean, in my own opinion, I feel like there was nowhere else to take that. You know what I mean? Like, where do you take it after kind of using chargers to steal a bank vault? You know what I mean? Like, where do you take that? And then 6 does it, but it also gives you a deeper story of they're not just doing it for their namesake. You know what I mean? They were basically free by the end of the 5th one. They could have ended it there if they wanted to. They don't get to go back to LA and sip barbecues, but they're free. They can live out away from any U.S. territory or being, what is it where you get taken from the country and then sent back to the U.S. to be arrested, whatever that is called? Extradited, yeah. They could just live fat off the millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So Letty brings them in. It's Letty that drives them to be that heroic force. And, the job isn't done because of Shaw. They stop Shaw and stuff. But yeah, involving Mr. Nobody and all that kind of changes direction. But yeah, I don't think it was just because of anything specific. It's just that they were trying to up the ante after 5.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which you kind of needed all that tech and stuff to do. It's not just about the car and its engine. It's about all the tech the bad guy has and what you have to get there, I think.
Yeah, they pretty much have to. It feels after 5 they try to find the connections just to make a new one. Almost.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what if Hobbs comes back? Like, what if Hobbs knows who killed Letty? Like, and what if we have another situation with Hobbs, but this time it's this other thing, and it keeps on going like that. Just another small detail to build up on to make the next movie.
Stepping stone.
Yeah, that's why it feels like right now they're like putting like little patches, like, oh, this happened because of this over here in the past, this happened because of this in the past.
I will say though, like, with upping the ante, it's where they lost their heart. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like after, not just because of the obvious of Paul Walker dying, but after 7, it's really just like there's no more emotional scenes. I feel like it's always shoot, bang, pop till we get to the next action sequence, the big ending. Because I mean, they had some heartfelt moments in 4. They had some in 5. Like I told you, my favorite scene is when he's talking, when Brian and Dom are talking about, Dom's dad, and he's just like, oh, I remember everything about my father, and this and that. Like, these movies needed more of that, but it feels like while they upped the ante, they also strayed away from that sort of thing. That's one of my things.
I think they started doing that after 7 and 8. I think they started straying away from the heart aspect with F9. F8, like I said, I had to do a rewatch, and I think after rewatching it, after seeing, the kind of care that he put into that one and actually had the chops for, I think that when 9 came around, I think that's when the heart was gone. I think that's when it completely left. To be honest, and if I want to keep it a buck, 8, 9, and 10 haven't given me a reason for them to have kept the franchise going on. If it was up to me, I would have ended it at 6. If they had ended at 7, that's fine too. That's a perfect ending as well. But I think this is why 8, 9, and 10 kind of felt hollow for me, is that there's no justification for them to keep going. There's nothing that maybe the whole son thing, but that came out of left field because, there's so many times where she could have told them, but like nothing ever happened. So if they wanted it to go that route, I mean, the ending of F8 could have been the last one as well. But after that, like, where's the justification? Like, what after episode 7, what was the justification to create more of these movies?
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, there really wasn't.
Yeah, there wasn't really after that. I mean, like I said, it was just pretty much like little minor details that to build a whole next movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, oh, what if Dom has a baby mama,
Yeah.
And he has to save the son now or save the baby mama.
Yeah, because it's crazy. That means that from That means from 5 to 8, it had to be in the span of like a year or two, because that baby looked at least under 2 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When they save it, yeah.
I don't know. And I think that, you know, bringing back these characters, like I said, Owen Shaw to me was one of the better villains, and having to bring him back for F8 and, you know, them just put away all the differences. Like, my man, you're saving his baby, but he fucked up your face. Look at your fucking face. You know what I mean? Like, they did that to you. You're over here saving his baby. If that was me, if I was the villain that I was, I would have popped that baby myself. It would have been a done deal. But, you know, and I think that's where, for me, the movie started taking a turn, because I was like, well, come on. Like, you just turned my favorite villain into another watered down villain that's going to go on. What's next? Is Jason Momoa going to come under the fold at one point? He's not going to be crazy anymore. He's going to be like, hey, come join my family.
I don't know. I hope for I mean, at least I hope for him, like, he goes out like he's intended to. Like, I hope he doesn't get that redemption. That's one of my things.
Just mention what we said earlier. 7 could have been the last one. That's it.
Yeah, I think I'm in that same boat, because I mean, even if you want to like go like under 5, I think Fast 5 could have been another good ending too. You know what I mean? Like, they end up with the money anyway. They're free at that point. They don't have to worry about being, you know, taken away and stuff. They could just live in a different part of the world, living off their stacks. Like, sure, they're not in LA where they should be, but, you know, they're living well together out there in their own life.
Well, that's why I got to get pushed back, because I think, in my opinion, I kind of believe that Fast 5 could have been the Infinity War, and Fury 6 could have been the end game, if that makes sense. So, like, it felt like it could have ended there, but you knew that it was incomplete because of the fact that it was just, they weren't home, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, they're a family, but they're not home. And so when 6 came out, it was kind of like, hey, you know, like, this could be the ending. Even the beginning hinted at it, you know what I mean? The whole opening was like all the previous movies, everything that happened, like a basic recap, and then, you know, Furious 6 and all the whole gangs right there. Like, it looked like they was prepared to end, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it just didn't wind up doing that. I think Fast 5 was good for where it was, but if it would have ended there, yeah, it could have been left up to interpretation. But I really seen it as one of those cliffhangers that was like, oh no, they got to make it back home, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, eventually they get back to that point. But
yeah, I guess I see what you're saying, but
yeah,
interesting.
Then do you think they're just mainly doing it for the money now?
Oh, for sure.
And this is something that I was like racking my brain about, right? And this is why I said earlier too, like, is this something that Paul Walker wanted, or is this Vin Diesel? Like, for me, for the longest time, I always thought like, you know, Vin Diesel's always been like, oh, Pablo, you know, we miss you, we're gonna respect you, you know, your legacy, all that stuff. But then you're over here making movies without him. You know what I mean? Like, if that was my partner, we're homies, I would have finished up the movie that was his last movie, and maybe not kill the franchise, but give it to somebody else. You know what I mean? Pass on the torch, something like that. If it was up to me, I would have said, there's no me without him. You know what I mean? There's no us. There's no this movies without Paul Walker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I was like, is it Vin Diesel milking this shit to be like, oh, Pablo, like, this is for him, like, come watch these movies, this is what you wanted? Or is this genuinely what Paul Walker wanted? Did he actually see himself doing 10 movies? You know,
I'm sure they saw themselves doing 10 movies, just not like this. You know what I mean? Like, I think at this point, it's not just it's to conserve that idea, but at the same time, it's obviously for money. You know what I mean? I think I saw somewhere on a podcast, Ludacris was saying it. He was like, why do the fans always got to be like, why are you making these movies? And he blatantly said, it's because of money. Like, if you're, you know, like we said it, if you're making movies with a little budget and then your movie makes $1 billion, of course you're going to make another one. You know what I mean? That's what he was saying. So, like, I'm sure for anyone else who sees it as a job, like Ludacris and, you know, Tyrese and all them, like, they see it as just another job. Well, Vin Diesel is more like, for him, it's probably difficult because he wants to preserve the idea while also, you know, not letting down the legacy. But, I mean, is he letting down the legacy? That's a whole other conversation.
What do you think? You think it's for money?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do believe they care about Paul Walker, but they're doing it for the money now. It has to be. I mean, just these last couple movies, there's no actual need for them other than probably just pretty much milking as much as they can right now out of suckers like me.
Like us, yeah, because to be honest, I thought Scott Eastwood was going to play that role of Paul Walker. I thought he was going to basically fill in that slot, and it didn't wind up doing that. And he wound up coming out in Fast X, but he was missing in F9, but he was there in F8. So I wasn't really like sure what route they were going on. As just I think it has to be for money for sure. And as much as I want to believe like these movies are for Paul Walker at this point, like I said, I caught myself laughing in F9 and Fast X. You know what I mean? I not laughing with the movie, laughing at the movie. You know what I mean? Because of how ridiculous some of the shit happened. And I'm just like, dude, like I understand the money aspect, but we need to keep ourselves grounded. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to, yeah, we're going in there to like not be in the real world, but like, fuck, I don't want to be at Fantasyland either where fucking cars are playing bumper cars where you could swing across a fucking bridge, land, roll, not have a cut on your face or dirt on your t-shirt. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, he never gets his shirt dirty. I rewatched the movies and I looked. He does get his shirt dirty in a few movies. He does get cuts and bruises, but there's times where like you look at him and you're like, could they survive that? And it's just like, like I firmly believe Hobbs should have died when he jumped out of that building when it exploded with Statham. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Ludacris and Tyrese, they should have died in Furious 6 when they crashed into the car and hit a bank or some shit like that. It flipped in the air. Of all things. So obviously it's a cash grab, and it just putting it blatant in your face in F9 when they're like, oh yeah, we don't die, stuff like that, like we're invincible. It kind of turns off the audience, I think.
Yeah, I got that feeling when they were in Fast X, when they were on the bridge and they already arrested Dom, and he starts strapping in like, all right, get ready, and the other guy's like, what do you mean? And then they blow up the truck. He gets out and just starts walking towards the people that are shooting at him. He's not even taking cover. He's just walking towards them. Everybody else is taking cover, shooting back, and he just walks up to them like he knows he's a main character. He's not gonna die.
Yeah. If I was one of the other characters, I would have been like, I want to be in his car.
He always survives.
And I know we touched up on it as well, but before we close this up, I kind of want to say it one more time. Is continuity becoming a problem with as many movies as has been produced?
But this one, it's a bit of yes and no, because I mean, in Fast X's terms, they kind of show you where he came from. You know what I mean? To get this one, you have to kind of watch Fast 5. You know what I mean? That's probably about it. You know. And then, with 9 kind of changes things about this entire story. So, but I mean, if you watch 9 by itself, you're basically just like, well, this is why he hasn't been around. If you're a real fan and you know, and you've seen the other ones, you're like, well, he shouldn't have been around, period. So, like, it's more of just, if it's casual watching, I guess not, because you can go in there and be like, okay, this is where we're at now, because, you know, they are doing well at giving you timestamps of when things happen. But if you're actually watching it, then, you know, yeah, it becomes a problem.
What do you think?
Yeah, after 5, you gotta watch 5 in order to understand the rest. Okay. You know, so after that, just characters keep on reappearing for more missions, and as it continues, X, this latest movie, I feel like they do sum up everything, but it just feels like band-aids.
Yeah,
like band-aids. Like, all right, like how did Dom know that one girl was his baby mama's sister? Like, and he ends up saving her.
Yeah,
and it's just that's just how it feels. I mean, there's a bit. It's a bit patchy.
I feel like it's patchy because they don't have. It sucks to say, but they don't have the time to, like, you know, fully go through it all, because, you know, the next acts and pieces around the corner.
Yeah, I think, and I was going to bring it up too with Fast X, is that I think it hurts continuity because they expect you to care about these characters, right? And like one thing too is like now, like in Fast X, I saw Mia and John Cena interact. We seen it in F9, but, you know, it was more like, oh, hey sis or whatever type shit, and it's like, you guys didn't see each other for many years. You guys don't even know each other, but we're supposed to believe that you guys know each other. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's where the continuity comes in, and it's kind of like bullshit because they're trying to make you care for these characters, but at the same time, they never said that they were around until they were actually around. You know what I mean? So I think continuity is becoming jumbled up. I hope they don't go deeper with this shit in part 2, because F9 having to go all the way back to when Dom's dad died, that shit was just, in my opinion, I would have never wrote myself in a corner that way.
Yeah,
that's just stupid.
Yeah.
And then with FX, that one's kind of like, well, you know, they try to double down on it. I mean, they got rid of one of them, so hopefully in part 2 they don't try to pick it back up and convolute this shit a little bit more, because we didn't even know that she had a sister either. And so much so that he knew about her and saved her over the dude that pulled out a strap for him and wrote for him. I'm just saying that right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. That is neither here nor there.
But like I said, I just got one more question for you guys, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I know we got places to be, people to see, but what is the best celebrity cameo in your guys' opinion? Since there's so many, we'll do top 3. What is the best celebrity cameo?
Damn.
Top 3 at least that you can think of off top.
Oh man, I didn't even
You think about that one?
know. It's hard to remember them all because there is a lot.
There is a lot.
Damn. Yeah, I couldn't even.
Yeah,
I guess
like Lil Bow Wow.
He could be technically one as one.
Bow Wow, Don Omar, I believe, was one.
Don Omar was on there. Ozuna was in F9. He played Lil Rico.
Yeah, there you go.
The younger version of the twins or the brothers that talk Cuban all the time and shit.
Oh yeah.
I will say one of my top ones was Pete Davidson. I really liked him in Banks. I ain't gonna lie. I know like you don't like him, but I liked him as in that movie. Fucking hated. I like Gina Carano, and I think she's a celebrity cameo because she came in one movie and basically was like one and done. I know that she was like
She got her ass beat.
yeah, I know she was like a pivotal point, but I think the fact that she was an actual wrestler coming hot off wrestling and coming off of I believe I think she was doing it right before she did Deadpool. Like she still had like those moves in her head, and so like the action scenes really meshed well. Honorable mention, Helen Morena as the Shaw Brothers mom. I think she's an honorable mention. You guys like Iggy? There you go, Iggy's there. I mean, Cardi B was in F9 as well, so
Yeah, Cardi B caught me off guard. I heard it as a rumor first. I was like, why would they have her there?
yeah.
She's. I mean, I find her annoying.
That if you notice, like if the soundtrack is basically based on who's gonna be as a cameo in the movie. So like if there's usually if Ozuna is gonna be in the movie or like Don Omar, they're gonna have a couple tracks on that. You know what I mean? Like Ludacris would. I think he had his like music on all 4, 5, and 6. I think of all those movies. Like he had his music playing on all those. So it just depends. But you guys have any off top? No idea, but a lot.
No, not
No.
really.
Pete Davidson does look like that kind of weirdo. So that role fit him perfect.
I thought it fit. But I mean, is it fair? Is it really fair? I mean, they always pick him for that loser. That's why and everything.
Hey, there's something about him that girls like.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of my favorites too. I really like the scene with the fun muffins or whatever.
Oh yeah, the fun one.
And the honeys when he's just tripping out for a cool second. What's his name in the first one? The one that loses the race, and he's like, Monica.
Oh, Ja Rule.
Oh, there you go.
Fun fact about Ja Rule, he was supposed to come back in Too Fast, Too Furious to play Ludacris's spot. But because he was too hot off his music, he turned down that role and never came back for anything.
And now he's getting his seat bought out by 50 Cent.
Yeah, just out of anger.
Yeah. I guess him, because I mean he ended up losing. Ronda Rousey. I know you were saying that earlier, but I just like that she gets her ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like she didn't do anything for the movie other than get her ass whipped, so I'm fine with that. I didn't really like Cardi B either. I find her very just annoying.
Yeah, same.
They try to make her give out like smart words and shit like that, and I was just like, we know this bitch is stupid. If we know she's stupid, why you guys do that to her?
But yeah, I guess that would be it. I don't even, you know what I mean?
Oh, all right. Any off top for me before we close it out?
No.
All right, guys. Well, that is the episode. Now, this is our first guest, so you guys show him some love. I also want give big shout out to Ray for coming out today and having this conversation with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Any comments, concerns for us before we wrap up this show? Anything to say?
I think you guys are doing a pretty great job around there. Yeah, I really like what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, especially these are one of my favorite movies. I watched all of them. I already said which ones I watch over and over again.
Yeah.
I got them already on my TV, ready to go. Whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, so if there's anything on here that we might have missed, any movies that you guys want us to review, any topics that you guys want us to talk about, you guys want to see more guests, if you want to see Ray back here, Josh, let them know where they can let us know.
You can engage with us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Fanboss Podcast. We post when new episodes are up. And again, you can just hit us up there for any news, movies, or guests you want us to, be on or talk about. If you want to listen to us on the go, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts, we are on a couple more places. So at Fanboss Podcast, go check us out there. If you want to support us, Buzzsprout, that is in the links in our bios. of all the social medias I just listed. If you subscribe, it would really help us out, push out this channel for you guys a little bit further. And then when it's all said and done, subscribe to our YouTube at Film Bros Podcast.
Yes. YouTube Music has, if you guys didn't hear in the last one, YouTube Music has podcasts now. So we will be uploading there pretty soon. Just make sure that you guys like, subscribe, follow. If you guys have YouTube Music, you can listen to us on there as well now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll close it off. And we'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.